A trader arrived through the great eastern gate. Bent under a load he was starting to hate. His brows stung with sweat, his knees were in pain. He had left his old life, was starting again. He would do what he could in this bustling city, and there saw a lady who showed him some pity. She was carved in fine stone and stood in a nook. She offered him water, benign was her look. No longer thirsty, with a face now made clean, he thanked our Lord's mother, and made sure he was seen, piously paying with a coin through the slot. But he didn't know all the things we've forgot. From their seat in the street, old men, playing at dice, called out to the trader, hailing him thrice. "You paid to her church, but she gave you no water. Your thirst was slaked by a different daughter. Buy wine from us, and you'll get a free tale." The deal was soon done, and the men did regale. Back, long ago, when Rome's greatest foe was roaming the land, none knew where he'd go. The temple of Mars threw open its door, and the great heaving city prepared for a war. Thousands joined up, and thousands more sent. None knew then quite how much they'd repent. One growing lad, with eyes bright and keen, snatched up this chance to shine on the scene. Wars come and go, but this was not just the latest. This was the big one, this was the greatest. With his gleaming new belt and his razor-sharp spear, no fear he felt, no peril seemed near. He set out with his friends, the air filled with song. Rome never lost, so what could go wrong? Waving them off were their fathers and brothers, their sisters and uncles, and so many mothers. Those matrons were proud to see their sons go, would not speak aloud of their fears of woe. Trasimene was where the enemy lurked. The Muses gave the enemy ruses, and Hannibal's ruses worked. Flaminius and his army were ambushed in the mist, youths cut down and old men too, and others too many to list. The news arrived in the forms of the lame, limping back through the gates. Great crowds gathered there, needing to learn their sons' fates. And one among the many there was searching for her boy, that growing lad with the bright keen eyes who was her life's main joy. Around her were reunions, menfolk greeted with relief. But her son, it seemed, was delayed. She held back the waves of grief. She was happy for her sisters, whose husbands had returned, but she stayed by the gate, continued to wait, till her son's fate was learned. Days became weeks, weeks became months, until there passed a full season. She was still fast by the gate. She continued to wait. Some said that she had lost her reason. But not all that time was idly spent. She did good service for all, and many soon were grateful when that patient mother did call. In the darkness of night she'd provided the light for straggler sons returned from the fight. For news of your son you did not have to wait. You could just ask the mother, always there at the gate. She greeted the thirsty with a cup and a smile, was a guide to the lost, and yet, all the while, was she mad? Should they shun her? The people debated, but they should have been glad of the mother who waited. Then came the day when 5 men with big axes cautioned the mother for not paying her taxes. She walked back to her shack to avert fiscal dangers, only to find the place filled with strangers. Her family gone, her goods liberated. The gate became home for the mother who waited. And over the years her esteem was inflated. She became part of the scene of the city, high-gated. The toothless old woman great stories related, her living rent-free gladly tolerated. And when she died, her fame, unabated, led to a statue, right there, of the mother who waited. So please now don't feel berated. We can see that you're tired by the goods that you freighted, but it grated that she was with Mary conflated. That she too loved her son, that's celebrated. But if that is the way that a woman is rated, none loved hers more than the mother who waited. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my poem, The Mother Who Waited. And it did occur to me to start the video with an explanation as to what the poem is about and giving you various insights into it so that you would better understand it. But maybe a piece of art, a song, a poem or whatever, should be able to stand on its own 2 feet and just be simply performed. And if you don't fully understand it, at least first time, well, maybe that's all right. But in order to do full service to my complete audience, perhaps I should give some explanation in case there's an aspect of the poem that you felt that you didn't quite get, and maybe you could watch it again and go, oh, I see, I get it now. It's not set during the Punic War. It's set in the early 4th century AD, after Rome has become, at least officially, Christian. And the man walking through the gate, the trader, who sees the apparently statue of the Madonna and Child and puts a little coin in the slot, giving a donation to the Christian church, he annoyed the older men who were from the early generation, and perhaps when they were born Rome was still officially pagan, and they knew the story of the statue that used to be there. It was about the mother who waited many centuries before, during the Punic Wars. This legendary woman had come into being, and the story stuck around, and they made statues of her, and they put her in a niche next to the gate where she used to live, and so they wanted to tell him the original story. So yes, the mother who waited, the legend arose from the time of the Punic Wars, but the poem is actually set at a time of some men playing at dice, telling a local traveller, do you know that statue over there used to be actually of the mother who waited, and it wasn't a Madonna and Child. But this did mean that, you see, I originally wrote the poem to go in the book Tales of the Punic Wars. It was always written with the understanding that it would be illustrated. So there'll be a number of things that would be in the pictures, and perhaps crucial to the poem, to the understanding of it, is the image of that statue in the niche with legs that are from the classical period, and then crudely knocked in half, and a much cruder later statue of the Madonna and Child stuck on the top, which doesn't fit its niche. It's too big for the niche. It's too tall. It wasn't designed to go there. It's in a different scale from the original sculpture. And that image was meant to speak volumes. Now, of course, I could have rewritten the poem and could have described the sculpture, but I didn't. I kept with the original, and so I felt it needed illustrating. So how do I illustrate it? Well, I could have illustrated it myself, just with a pencil or whatever, and that would have taken ages, and frankly, the pictures would probably have been rather second-rate. I could have gone to an artist and briefed the artist on what I wanted, and then he could have drawn, or she could have drawn a quick sketch. You mean like this? No. And then I could then describe in great detail what I want, and he would say, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And then I get back, oh no, that's still not what I want. I know, because I've been through this process with artists before. I could have done that, and either it would have taken ages or have been prohibitively expensive, or it was just never going to happen. So the route I went was lots of Adobe Photoshopping, lots of adulterated oil paintings, and I'm sure some of you spotted this, the use of AI. It's the first time I've ever used AI like this. But please be assured, the poem was not in any way AI. That is the poem I wrote. And I did not just say, dear AI graphics piece of software, here's my poem, illustrate it, because that would just come up with just a mess of irrelevant illustrations. Instead, I spent hours and hours typing in prompts and then getting loads of pictures back eventually, because you have to wait quite a while for it to think about it, and then realizing, oh, okay, it's misunderstood my prompt, and then refining my prompt, repeat. A very similar experience, actually, to talking to a human artist. I would say about 1 picture in 8 maybe yielded some part of it that was usable, and it was noticeable what these AIs have been trained upon. So, for instance, I kept typing in middle-aged woman and getting back pictures of someone who looked between about 17 and 21, and usually extremely good-looking 17 to 21. So late middle-aged woman. That pushed it to maybe 19 to 23, but still not really a middle-aged woman. All right, older, late middle-aged woman, that sometimes yielded usable results. But
If I used old rather than older, then I got a crone with wrinkled skin and white hair. Obviously knew exactly how to do old women and young pretty women, but or I had to type in ordinary as well. Otherwise I just got amazingly good looking women every single time. And anything to do with the Romans yielded loads of pictures of men in that's not a Roman helmet, but it's a helmet of some sort, but that's not how a helmet sits on a head. Oh dear, and I kept typing in no red cloaks, and it still kept giving me red cloaks. AIs can't count. So 5 men with big axes. You would think 5, that's the sort of thing a computer can really cope with easily. A number, 5. No, it would be 3 or 20. Very, very rarely 5. And when I got a number like 5, very often the men would all be exactly the same height and quite often would have exactly the same face. Anyway, so what I would do is I would take a bit of this, a bit of that, and I would start adding them together and getting, okay, after a while, that'll have to do. And I got, oh my goodness, trying to get the crude statue of in the late Roman style. Obviously, the AI had just not been trained on bad sculpture at all. So loads and loads and loads of clearly Renaissance sculptures had been scanned into the AI's database. I tried all sorts of words: crude, rough, bad, primitive, crude, rough and bad and primitive. Tribal, generally that went sort of African, late Roman, Byzantine, whatever I tried, I never really got quite what I wanted for the upper half of the sculpture. But never mind. So that, I hope, explains the AI look. So it's not simply this has been churned out using AI. As some people I've noticed on the channel Dust, there's a YouTube channel called Dust, which showcases sci-fi films. Some of them are good, most of them are not good, unfortunately. But anyway, recently I noticed some people have been uploading completely AI videos. The script, the voices, everything AI. And these are absolute dross. They are unwatchably awful. Although at the rate at which AI is getting better, maybe 5 years hence they'll be decent, who knows. I sort of hope that that'll never be the case, but maybe it will. Anyway, for now, the experience of being me in producing this video was actually pretty much the same as it would have been otherwise. I had to write the poem, I had to decide what I wanted, I had to brief an artist, albeit an artificial one, and I had to a lot of back and forth with the artist, and I had to edit a lot of pictures. So for me, it didn't feel like that much of a shortcut, to be honest. Now, anyway, I can't get this far into any video without someone making a comment about Hannibal. And given that there is a Punic War connection in this video, of course, there will be people who have already written some criticism about the fact that I'm talking about the Punic Wars, and yet I haven't talked about when the book Tales of the Punic Wars, or rather In Search of Hannibal, is going to come out. Well, I'm going to talk about that, so perhaps those people could start searching for those comments and edit them. The project is very definitely not dead. I have, just in case you don't know, I have for years now been working on a graphic novel with an artist called Chris Steiniger, and a full draft of the book now does exist, but there's still a fair bit of work to be done on it. Chris has to finish another of his Silverwing batch graphic novel books, but when he's finished that, he'll be able to get back to the Hannibal project, and the end is now reasonably in sight. I would love to be able to give you a specific date and say we will release it on this day, but it would be irresponsible, frankly, of me to do so, because I don't want to make anything that might even be taken as a promise, even if it weren't a promise, which I couldn't keep. So, but it's in the reasonably foreseeable future now. We'll be able to release the book, but it's also the case that the nature of the project has evolved and altered over time. The main book, In Search of Hannibal, about Hannibal and Scipio in the Second Punic War, is going to be a lot bigger than originally conceived. I can't be very precise, but in the vague region of twice the size. And it has altered nature a bit in ways that very, very creative on Chris's part. He's buzzing with ideas as to things he could do. It's going to be, I suppose, maybe I can say this, it's going to be a bit more arty, perhaps, was the original idea. Anyway, the project is not dead, and thank you so much for all those very patient Kickstarter backers who have stayed with us all this time. Not 100% of you have been perfectly patient, but to be honest, I think that's fair and only understandable. Because we have taken flipping ages. When we are ready to release, because the project has changed nature a bit, we will be giving backers options. And I'm quietly confident that we will be able to come up with an option that will satisfy near enough every one of our customers, of our backers. What a day that shall be. Anyway, hope you liked the poem.